वेलकम टू चाय चैट विद लवीना। आज हम कुछ बहुत अलग करने जा रहे हैं। कई ऐसे लोग हैं हम में से जो बाहर नहीं निकल पा रहे हैं और ऐसे में बाहर क्या हो रहा है ये हम आप तक पहुंचाना चाहते हैं। सो समथिंग वेरी डिफरेंट दैट वी हैव नॉट डन बिफोर। सो इफ़ यू लुक, इफ आई टर्न अराउंड, यू विल फील दैट वी आर इन ब्रिटिश म्यूजियम एंड द फर्स्ट exhibition that they have started with once they reopened after the pandemic is that on Tantra, enlightenment to revolution. Tantra, an old, embedded in Hindu philosophy, in fact शिव and शक्ति का अद्भुत संगम और उसका जो मतलब सिंबलिज्म के थ्रू दिखाती है, ये बहुत ही अपने आप में एक बहुत ही दमदार फिलॉसफी है। एंड समटाइम्स दिस फिलॉसफी इज़ वेरी वेरी मच मिसअंडरस्टूड। इन सम प्लेसेस it is deeply associated with sexual activity and rhetoric around it, and sometimes with black magic. But there is much more to Tantra than these two things, and this is exactly what this exhibition is trying to show. If I take you around, in the first part of the exhibition, they show us about the initial beginnings of Tantra. So this is a whole journey that Tantra as a philosophy has made in India. And something that's quite interesting is that all the artifacts that are here, although are from all over the world, so Bharat se hain, Tibet se hain, Mughal ke samay ke hain, Bengal se hain tab jab Bharat एम्पायर के अंतर्गत था, ब्रिटिश रूल के अंदर था, और उस वक्त किस तरह से तंत्र को इंटरप्रेट किया गया, इन सब चीज़ों की बातें होती हैं। पर ये जितने आर्टिफैक्ट्स हैं ये ब्रिटिश म्यूज़ियम के हैं जो अलग अलग समय पर यहाँ लाए गए। तो ये भी एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बात है। अब ये देखें तो ये चामुंडा और भैरवी और योगिनी जो शुरुआत में जिस तरह से तंत्र का एवोल्यूशन हुआ उस पर बात की जाती है। यहाँ से शुरू होता है गॉडेस योगिनी के ऊपर, योगिनी के ऊपर चर्चा करना कि किस तरह से क्या फ़िलॉसफी है, क्या सिंबॉलिज़म है योगिनी का। और यहाँ पे हीरापुर टेम्पल जिसे which was built in eastern India in about AD 900, that has been depicted. It's an attempt to depict that 64 yoginis encircle the interior walls of this temple, and this is what it's been trying to depict here. And then as we move on to how Tantra became a part of yoga. So this Hatha yoga really is embedded in Tantra. When we talk about कि कुंडलिनी जागरण करनी है, this is where it has its seeds in. So this is all depicting the yoga, how Tantra contributed to the yoga. Basically जो ये सारे चक्रा की हम बात करते हैं, that is coming from tantric philosophy. And then Mughal, the period of Mughal, what happened to Tantra in the period of Mughal? And it's quite interesting to have been told by people here that the Mughals really encouraged and asked them to make a lot of paintings. And this is one bin शाहजहाँ ने इसे कहा था बनाने के लिए। बहुत ही खूबसूरत ये पेंटिंग है। इस तरह से then we reach on to a period when Buddhism actually also took inspiration from Tantra. This whole period of how Buddhism, how it developed and got embedded in the Buddhist philosophy. And what is quite interesting to see here, if I can read, is that the decline of Buddhism in India is quite related to the rise of tantric Hinduism, something that is quite an interesting observation. Many such interesting observations here. As we move on, we talk about the 17th, 18th and 19th century tantric revolution, how it revolutionized the thought process and how it was depicted. This is all about how human remains were used as symbols and how they were symbolized, what is it that it is being trying to say. And I know a lot of people have this question that it is such a violent symbolism, and how can something that is such violently symbolized would talk about peace and tranquility and compassion and love? And this is what is quite interesting to discover in this whole philosophy. If I take you around, this is the Tantra and the revolution in the colonial India. British, we are told, were very kind of afraid, not afraid, but they were quite wary of the way and the symbols, the violence in the entire symbols, and at some point they thought that actually this is a country or a region that we need to civilize, just because of the kind of symbolism that went into it. So this is this whole period when at one point the Britishers were quite wary of how Tantra is, at the same time being attracted with it, and took a lot of, and in some Western philosophy and culture even today, it's been associated with something which is quite erotic, something associated with sexual activities and stuff like that. But at the same time, a lot of the Bengal artists took the symbol of Durga and Kali, and that was seen as a point of dissent by the Britishers. And as we move on, this exhibition also talks about the 20th century depiction of Tantra, and finally how Tantric philosophy and Tantra actually has inspired feminism in the recent times, and how that has been a great influence on this entire movement of feminism. So an extremely interesting exhibition. And in the second segment we'll talk to the curator of this entire exhibition to find out what inspired British Museum to open after the pandemic with an exhibition on Tantra. So stay tuned on Chai Chat.